I knew we had a big problem on our hands when Molly collapsed. She barely made it into the clinic when she dropped to the floor, unable to stand on her own 4 legs. Dr. Schenkel immediately rushed to Molly and looked at her mucous membranes. She was incredibly pale. I rushed to Molly as well. I felt her pulses. They were very weak. Her abdomen was large, distended, and stretched taut. When Dr. Schenkel tapped on it, it sounded like a drum. We recognized the severity of the situation. Molly's life was in danger. She was in shock and needed emergency surgery. The challenge ahead of us wasn't just Molly's condition. It was much bigger than that. I was one of 3 veterinary technology faculty members from Mercy College who had traveled to Belize in Central America with 5 students and 2 recent graduates. We went there to volunteer at the Belize Wildlife and Referral Clinic, a facility for native wildlife rehabilitation. These students had never worked together before. Some had met for the first time on this trip. They were all at different stages of their education, and some had limited hands-on experience within the field. We were also not in a domestic animal hospital, which would be much more suited for our current predicament, but that didn't stop the local farmer from bringing us his beloved shepherd when he recognized something was wrong. We found ourselves in an emergency situation in an unfamiliar environment with limited medical supplies. Due to my years of experience in veterinary medicine, I recognized that if we were going to save Molly's life, teamwork was essential. I couldn't help but wonder, could we work effectively as a team? I had no time to waste thinking about that. I brushed the thought aside. Instead, I focused on what needed to be done. Dr. Schenkel immediately took a leadership role and started communicating what steps needed to be taken. I would then communicate to the students what kind of supplies we needed to carry out her medical orders. We knew we had to treat the shock before we could get Molly into surgery. I was amazed how quickly the students communicated with each other to determine who could do what. Some of the senior students had more clinical skills, and they immediately prepped Molly for intravenous access. They placed an IV catheter and started giving Molly shock dose fluids. The students with less hands-on experience used their critical thinking and problem-solving skills to determine fluid volumes and drug dosages for Molly. Other students continued to obtain vital signs and logged everything that was being done and at what time. Everyone was communicating effectively. They were listening to each other and motivated to do whatever they could to help the team work efficiently, and hopefully save Molly's life. We took an X-ray of Molly's abdomen and confirmed she was suffering from gastric dilatation volvulus, also known as bloat, a life-threatening condition where the stomach dilates and flips on itself. It cuts off the blood supply to the stomach as well as other vital organs. The team worked seamlessly in anesthetizing Molly and prepping her for surgery. We had no anesthetic monitoring equipment, no fluid pumps, none of the equipment we were accustomed to having back at home. Yet, through our constant communication and trust in each other, we used our problem solving to try and achieve our common goal. We were successful in correcting Molly's shock and able to get her into surgery. Once the surgery was underway, we were able to assess the damage that was done. Almost all of Molly's stomach tissue was dead. She could not recover from these injuries. We had to make a very difficult recommendation to Molly's owner to give her a gift of eternal peace. Unfortunately, in my line of work, effective teamwork does not always mean a happy ending. Although we were not able to save Molly's life, we were able to stop her from suffering. We all learned a lot about teamwork and each other that day. We learned how a leader's actions affect the team, that we all shared a common vision, that we were able to integrate and communicate effectively with each other, and that we were all motivated by the same thing, helping animals under any condition. We talked about the case the next day, once we all had time to reflect on the events that had occurred. What really stood out to me was how each person, regardless of the role they played that day, understood the significance of what we learned. We will all think back to our time in Belize and remember Molly fondly and how she helped us learn what we were capable of when we worked together as a team.